ordering the FAA to hire personnel solely on the basis of merit and skill, no DEI hires. New painkiller, one without the risk of opioid addiction, has won approval by the Food and Drug Administration. President Trump about to make good on his threat of 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican imports. Barring any last-minute compromises, those tariffs due to take effect tomorrow. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures up 125 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 165. This is SRN News.
If you are 65 or older, you know this. Inflation is hitting everyone hard right now, especially when it comes to healthcare. Over the last 10 years, healthcare costs have skyrocketed by, get this, 230%. If you have Medicare Parts A and B, you know there are still out-of-pocket expenses like deductibles and copayments, and they really add up. But here's some good news. MediShare 65 Plus is designed to fill in those gaps and help protect you from rising healthcare costs. At only $99 per month up to age 75, you get peace of mind at a price you can afford. And MediShare is trusted, too. It's been around 30 years. It's not some big impersonal thing. It's a community of people helping each other, business owners, pastors, retirees. People love it. MediShare 65 Plus just makes sense. To learn more, give them a call. They're great to talk to. They'll offer to pray with you each time you call, too. Call now. 833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE 55. 833-SHARE-55.
Here's the latest news and information that impacts you. I'm Derek White. All passengers and crew are presumed dead after an American Airlines jet and Army Black Hawk helicopter near Washington, D.C. collided. The crash happened Wednesday night as the regional jet was approaching Reagan National Airport. It was carrying 60 passengers and 4 crew members from Wichita, Kansas. In the early stages of the investigation, authorities believe something went wrong in the air traffic control room. The jet was operating in a usual pattern followed by countless flights each day on their approach. The helicopter was also operating in a typical pattern, but in this case, the 2 aircrafts were in the same airspace. Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy said,
"We see military helicopters fly up and down the river. It's a standard path that they fly. They're used to aircraft landing at DCA. And there's a procedure in place because this happens every day. Something went wrong here."
District of Columbia Fire Chief John Donnelly gave an update early Thursday morning stating that at this point, we do not believe there are any survivors. The conditions are cold and windy, making the operation extremely difficult for the 300 responders on scene.
At this point, we don't believe there are any survivors from this accident. And we have recovered 27 people from the plane and 1 from the helicopter.
President Trump held a press conference later Thursday, offering a moment of silence before summarizing the events that took place. He thanked the first responders for mobilizing immediately and working tirelessly through the night on search and recovery efforts. President Trump then said, "In the days to come, America is here to support those involved. We are one family, and we are heartbroken." Then turning the mic over to Duffy, he assured the public that answers will be found.
And I know that President Trump, his administration, the FAA, the DOT, we will not rest until we have answers for the families and for the flying public. You should be assured that when you fly, you're safe.
For more information on this and other stories, visit nwksradio.net.
Rocket 1025.
With your updated forecast, I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley from the Weatherology Weather Center. Bright sunshine today with daytime highs approaching 55. Winds out of the northwest, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 30 tonight, mainly clear skies. High temperatures reach up to 63 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times and dry Sunday and Monday. Low 60s, Sunday, mid 50s by Monday. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 46 Tuesday, 45 Wednesday, and 41 on Thursday. Another look at the short range, a high of 55 today. Lows level off around 30 tonight. Highs reach 63 tomorrow. Get up to the minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Currently 25.
Goodland's Rocket 1025 is your home for Goodland High School athletics. From touchdowns and three-pointers to home runs, Ross Volkmer has you covered with all the action. Join him for live broadcast on Goodland's Rocket 1025, your front row seat to the Cowboys and Cowgirls. Select games video streamed on the Goodland Voice. GHS Athletics this season are made possible in part by
Yost Farm Supply, Lore Electric, Next Tech Wireless, Hurl Chevrolet GMC, and the Cowboy Corner Express.
Farmers, the spring crop insurance deadline is fast approaching. Have you started the process of getting a written agreement on crops that are not typically insurable? This deadline is also March 15th, but much more information is needed in order to request coverage. Now is the time to call or stop by the insurance agency in Goodland to review your crops and coverage. See Roxanne, Susan, and Judy at the insurance agency located at 1020 Main in Goodland, or call them at 785-899-5011 for your peace of mind.
Drive into the new year with incredible deals at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Right now, get a $3,000 total cash allowance on the 24 Chevy Suburban or take home a 25 Chevy Equinox with 2.9% APR financing, plus no payments for 90 days when you finance with GM Financial. Looking for a truck? Get 0% APR on the 24 GMC Sierra 1500 with a 5.3-liter engine for well-qualified buyers and score $3,250 when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Visit Hurl Chevrolet GMC today or shop online at hurlchev.com.
Phones nowadays can do practically anything, including feed you.
And now they cannot.
Well, that is if you download the McDonald's app. Use the McDonald's app to get deals on the food you love, including McCafé, soft drinks, fries, and so much more. Plus, keep up to date on what's trending at McDonald's with the latest promotions, events, new products, and specials. You can even order and pay from the app. So download it today and score from your local McDonald's at Burlington, Colby, Goodland, and Lamar.
New year, new projects, and new deals at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Start 2025 with a bang by tackling those home improvements. Refresh your space with vibrant Benjamin Moore paint or stock up on storage totes and shelves, perfect for organizing. Lumber prices are down, making it easier to tackle your next big project. Keep warm while you grill year-round with their top-notch grills and smokers from Traeger and Weber. And don't let the snow slow you down. Check out their great selection of snowblowers from Ego and Toro. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby, your partner for a productive new year.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
You ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4!
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
Give me my cane. I'll show you how to play this game.
And Max Gershon.
The Gershon build is short, but calves like this big. Big old calves.
The High Plains only local sports talk show. Broadcasting live on Rocket 102.5 and streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Not this again.
Yes, this again.
Covering it all from the preps.
Costa 1.7 chops it up for the win. It's an air ball in the Colby Eagles. Victorious in Hugoton.
To the pros.
Mahomes stepping up again, tries to throw. Light caught! Touchdown! Kansas City! Travis Kelce owning this game.
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and F&B Bank. Along with the insurance agency, the Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
Baldwin into Conan Niederhauser. Drives. A tomahawk slam for Yannick Conan Niederhauser. Top Prince has the ball, right side quarter court. Drives down the lane and opens up for her, and it counts. And a foul. The Red Sea parted for Prince, and she got an easy layup and an and one.
Yep. Ahead it goes to Sundell. Serena a full head of steam. Backs out, sides a trailer three on its way. Yes!
Euless with 10 on the shot clock. Bounce pass, high post, and Williams with the same play. And another play ends up with a dunk. Back-to-back plays, identical. Williams with a jam, and the Huskers are up 40-31.
Final seconds of the third. Laravia picked up by Tate. Arching. Oh! Off the glass and down the hatch.
Good Friday morning, everybody. Off and rolling on this January the 31st. Ross Volkmer and the prodigal son has returned. Max Gershon is back with us after a sick day. How are we doing today?
Doing good. Doing a little better. I'm all medded up. So
he's on the meds.
But wasn't going to miss a good, game day. Colby obviously playing tonight, so had to get better. Had to get better in time for that. And yeah, we're here. We survived. It was rough yesterday. Obviously, it wasn't on the show, so it had to be pretty rough for me to miss. And yeah, it was not fun, but we made it through.
What would you call, what do you have, like a flu, you think, or something like that?
Yeah,
or just a really bad cold?
Yeah, I get really, really, really bad colds.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why, but
you better invest. One thing that I've learned from moving from the eastern part, I grew up in southeast Nebraska, coming out here to the high plains. One thing I would invest in is a humidifier if it was me. A humidifier. Something that throws moisture into the air. Boy, I would invest in one, and I would keep that thing running constantly because it, as we all know, most of us know already, it doesn't really rain out here, although we did get some moisture yesterday and the night before, but it doesn't really rain out here, and so it can get really dry, and because of that, your sinuses and stuff can really take a pounding and all that stuff. So a tip from the old man this morning, Max, maybe get yourself a humidifier.
Well, that's why Florida was so great, because the only times I would have colds like this was when I would come back from like being home, because it rains every single day at 3:00 in Florida, or at least in Orlando.
That's why everyone goes and retires there, because they don't get sick because the weather.
No, it's great. So it's great. So
welcome back to reality, where we live a hard life on the high plains.
Yeah, happens.
But a bright spot transitioning. It is going to feel like Florida this weekend, though. Temperature is going to be in the 60s this weekend here. So I think even producer Papa Gersh said he's going to go hit the links this weekend. So
yeah, I wanted to already this week, but I got sick. So hopefully I can get out there this weekend.
Well, that's all right. You know what? You got a game on Friday, and maybe Saturday will open up for you, and you'll be feeling better, and get outside and get some fresh air.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But, anyway, glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz. Max is back after a 24-hour hiatus due to some sickness. We've got full show ahead for today. We're going to have some fun in the third segment, little 3 up, 3 down, 3 random questions, 3 random answers on a fun Friday. We will be visiting with good friend of the program, Rusty Groffel, former Colby Community College men's basketball head coach, now an assistant at Fort Hays State. Talk to them. They had a huge game last night. They had to take on the number 1 ranked team in Division II, Washburn, the Ichabods. Great nickname, by the way, the Bods. But the Ichabods, they lost that game. But it's been a good season so far for the Tigers of Fort Hays State. And so our good friend Rusty Groffel stopped by. Maybe we'll even talk about working out in the weight room, bench presses and squats, because we do like to talk about that with Rusty Groffel from time to time. We'll get to that. We've got plenty of things to get to with local sports. We'll give Max plenty of time to talk about the big game tonight for the Colby Eagles as they are on the road down at Ulysses, and the other host of other games going on tonight. Goodland will not be a part of that. Cowboys and Cowgirls have the night off. Celebrate good times. Come on. At least I'm stoked for it. So taking a Friday off, and I think it's good for the Cowboys and Cowgirls to just get a little bit of a break, both mentally and physically, and put themselves in a good mindset going in for the final push of this season. Because after today, the January of 2025 is done. We're into February already, which is hard to believe, but we're going to get there. So we'll get to all that coming up here in this program. Once again, going to be a warm weekend ahead. Temperatures above the upper 50s pretty much all for the next 5 days, including today, 57 and sunny. Currently 29 and clear on this Friday morning here in Goodland, Kansas. Some real quick things before we get into local sports, and a very busy local sports weekend. Not just in basketball, but wrestling is jam-packed with so much going on this weekend. But last night in college basketball, K-State women, a nice win in overtime it took, but they were able to beat Iowa State. And boy, that was a nice win for the K-State women as they're able to get it done in OT. And the local product, Taryn Sides, played a huge role in that. The Phillipsburg native was white hot from three-point land, it seemed like at times, as she came off the bench and hit 4 of 4 from 3 and had 17 points. As K-State gets an 87-79 win in overtime over Iowa State. Once again, they're dealing without Ioka Lee, who once again is dealing with injuries. You talk about it, once again, she's probably played 7 or 8 seasons at Kansas State due to the fact that she's had a lot of injuries, kind of like this. And but Serena Sundell had 23 points. They had 5 ladies in double figures, but Taryn Sides, once again, the Phillipsburg native, 17 points, 4 of 4 from 3 to help the K-State Lady Wildcats stay at home. And what did I read on that? That was win number what in a row? I wrote that down. I'm going to find that real quick. 14, I think. Yeah, 14 wins in a row at home for the K-State women, who are now 20-2, already at 20 wins, 8-1 in the Big 12. There's a chance they might be a number 1 seed if they keep on this pace, to be honest with you, which would be really, really cool to see. By the way, K-State and Kansas face off this Sunday in a Dillon Sunflower Showdown Ladies Edition. And then Nebraska basketball gets it done. Finally, a 6-game losing streak to an end, Max. Thank God. Tired of watching all that losing, but 80-74 in overtime over 18th ranked Illinois. Third, the interesting thing is Nebraska never trailed, and they knocked off their third-ranked opponent this season. The last time they did that, it was 11 years ago, 2013-2014 season. Been 11 years since they've done that. I don't know if that's going to matter anything when it comes to the NCAA tournament, just because, once again, Nebraska's in the bottom 3 of the Big Ten standings. So, but if they could get on a little bit of a roll here, it'd be nice. They actually have a very tough test against Oregon on Sunday out in Eugene, and Oregon got absolutely stomped by UCLA late last night. I mean, stomped. So that'll be a tough one for the Big Red.
Did you see the football players dunking at halftime?
Yes, I did. That's become a new
game.
tradition. One of the halftimes is the football team goes out there and they think they have 5, maybe 6 guys that say, "Yeah, I'll compete." And it's a dunk competition. It was a big night there at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Not only did they have, the players dunk competition, but Zach Taylor, head coach of the Bengals, was there, former Nebraska quarterback. He was there with his sons taking in a game. Of course, you missed the news yesterday, but John Cook, volleyball coach for Nebraska, he retired. Well, they honored him at during a timeout break, and they also brought onto the floor the new volleyball coach, Danny Busboom Kelly, who's coming back to Nebraska after being gone for multiple years, leading her own program. But the Nebraska, so it was a big night of a lot of things happening just on the court, but maybe not to do with the game. And then the game actually worked out okay for those who went in attendance and got to see a win for Nebraska and snap that ugly 6-game losing streak. Once again, I was saying it yesterday, Max. Imagine being 12-2, and you're like, you know what? We're doing pretty good. You blink at the end of the month, you're 12-8. You've gone from being in the top half of your own conference to the bare bottom floor. That's a tough pill to swallow.
I was going to say shout out to my classmate who was dunking at halftime, Desan McCullough from Blue Valley North High School. Now your newest outside linebacker.
Did he graduate in your class?
Yep, I have classes with him.
Would he know you?
Good to watch.
If you passed each other in the street, would you know each other?
If we pass each other, I think we have each other's like socials, but I don't think like he wouldn't recognize.
I'm not saying like you had been, oh my gosh, there's Max Gershon.
No, we weren't friends. We talked a couple times, but it's not like. But I just think it's whenever there's a him like Graham Mertz, same thing with him. Like it's cool to see him doing stuff and all those guys that were studs that I watched in high school, doing stuff at the next level is always sick. Even guys that went to like other schools in the area that I played. I think it's cool to see them go to the next level.
Absolutely, it's really cool
and stuff like
that connection. So, yeah, I did see, and that was a nice dunk from Deshaun McCullough, the one that I saw.
It was. You played basketball as well in high school for a bit. It was good.
Coaches love multi-sport athletes.
Oh, they do, especially in big cities.
You missed out on this yesterday, and that's okay. We understand you're under the weather, but if anybody has not gone back and checked out the podcast with the interview we did yesterday with Colby Community College head men's basketball coach in Jared Stanford, you need to go back and listen to that. I had him on to talk about the season for Colby Community College. We only got one question because we spent the whole time talking about local athletes and the great crop of seniors that are getting recruited to play, the Rumfords, the Cures, the Brumbaughs, and all the other, Trey Allen and Katz over all these other great athletes that are getting recruited to go play college ball. It's a great conversation. So if you have not heard that on the podcast, you need to go check that out. It's really, really good. Anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, it's on. Go check it out. It's really, really good stuff. So before we actually, you know what? We'll save that for later. We'll save that for the walk-off. So anyway, like I mentioned, it's a very, very, very busy sports weekend ahead coming up here. We got tons of wrestlers, tons of wrestling last night. I'll go through these real quickly. Lots of duels last night. Colby topped McCook 48-30 in a duel. The Eagle boys will be at Stratton, Colorado for their invitational coming up on Saturday. Hoxie, Ray, and St. Francis all met. I believe it was in Saney where they all met and competed in a tri-duel. And they had Hoxie winning both those duels. No surprise. They beat Ray 54-24, and then they beat St. Francis 57-15. St. Francis lost to Ray in that other duel 76-6. And then Rollins County boys had a duel. They defeated Oakley 37-27, I saw. By the way, today, very busy day in Russell, as it is the Mid-Continent League Wrestling Tournament will take place today, and that's a very big tournament, so that'll be very busy over in Russell. Saturday, you've got St. Francis and Rollins County girls. They'll be going to Hoisington for some more wrestling. So you've got some kids that are going to be wrestling 3 straight days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Lots of wrestling taking place. Goodland, of course, we visited with Coach Gardner a couple days ago, and they're headed to the Baldwin Invitational. That's actually beginning today with the ladies and then tomorrow with the guys. Goodland will be down there competing at the Baldwin Invitational. Decatur Community Boys are going up to Arapahoe, Nebraska to compete in some wrestling action up there this Saturday as well. And also last night, Colby Community College wrestling fell to Barton in a duel 27-24 over there in Colby. So like I said, lots of wrestling on tap for this weekend. So much going on here this weekend. And that's just the tip of the iceberg because we've got a full slate of basketball. Not a complete full slate, but a good slate of basketball tonight. You've got Rollins County and St. Francis, the Battle for the Yoke basketball edition going on tonight in Saney. Weskin will take on Rolla. Golden Plains will host Logan Palco. Hoxie will host Quinter. Oakley will take on Oakley will take on Hill City, not Ness City. And then Wallace County visiting Decatur Community. A few of the area games going on here tonight. And then, of course, Colby going down to Ulysses. Max gets to make his first trip or second trip. Did you go down to Ulysses for football this year?
No, I think they did. Excuse me. I think they did, but it was right before because Chad called a game before I came down.
Yeah, I think that was the first game when they played.
It was the first game was against Ulysses, and
I actually think that game was home. I think that was.
It might have been at home, but regardless,
this will be the first trip down to Ulysses. All right.
Yeah. Anything I should know?
I think they have a nice gym, very big, very open. You know, like the mezzanine. So it's like one of those gyms where you walk in and the court is down. You know, it's kind of dug into the floor.
Gotcha.
And so you walk in and you got to go down to get to the floor. But anyway, you don't have to do that because for us broadcasters, you stay up on the mezzanine walk around area, which is very wide. Like I would bet it's probably a 12 to maybe it's even a 20-foot wide mezzanine area. I mean, it's really, really wide. A lot of room for people to get around the outside before they go down. And anyway, you sit up top there on that mezzanine area. You don't have to go down even to the floor. I will give Ulysses a lot of credit. I think that their home court advantage is something to be mindful of. They have a good student section that gets behind their kids, and that can be a little bit of a factor for them. Ulysses does play really good at home. I think that if you look at the schedule, it would show that Ulysses does play good at home, probably way better than they play on the road. So I'd be mindful of that if I was the Eagles tonight. But should be, once again, not trying to knock Ulysses. And I think they're both teams are very well coached, particularly on the boys' side. Matt Cox, which them and they're their women's coach, and forgive me for forgetting her name, Aubrey Marshall, that's her name. You know, they won the award at the Orange and Black for being the best coaches at the tournament, despite their teams not having the best success. I think they do a really good job coaching their kids. So I have a lot of respect, particularly for Matt Cox. I think he does a great job coaching there at Ulysses and getting the most out of his guys. So I give him a lot of credit for that. So, and once again, I said they play good at home and so you got to be on your toes no matter what, because they have kept close with some teams and they have tripped up some teams in the past playing at home where they might have been on the road and lost that game. So players wise, you know, you saw them though. That was season opener for you, right? Ulysses came to Colby in the season opener for basketball.
That's what
I think it was.
Was it Burlington or was it?
No, at home. The first game of
right. That's what I'm saying. But I'm looking. I feel like I'm losing my mind right now because while you're talking, I'm looking at this and on Max Preps it says it's Burlington.
No. You played Ulysses in the first game. You were there. Come on.
I know I was, but yeah, it was Ulysses. I'm losing my mind.
Everybody, it's a home and home this year for the first time that I can remember.
Yes, no, it is. Yeah, I'm right. I'm right
because this is the road game versus Ulysses.
I guess it just wasn't on max preps for either side, for whatever reason.
Well, max preps you can't totally trust.
Yes, they have played each other. Colby won both the girls and the boys pretty dominantly. So yeah, I expect Ulysses to play a little better because it's later in the year. They're coming off of 2 wins against Cimarron and Concordia. Is Ulysses. So they only beat Cimarron by 5. Their boys team, Cimarron, of course. Have they won a game this year yet?
Cimarron? Oh yeah, they've won.
They just haven't won a GWAC game.
Yeah,
they're 0-7 in the GWAC.
Yeah,
they're 4-9. So yeah, but yeah, it's I would expect Colby to win this game, but I don't want I hope they don't overlook it at all. I'm sure they won't, but yeah, it's Colby needs to win. Obviously, they've lost 2 straight against Hayes and Goodland in the tournament. 2 tough teams, but definitely thought that they should have won that game against Goodland, and I'm sure the guys I've talked to felt the same way that I do about it. So maybe a little anger to take out against Ulysses tonight after not the best performance in the last 2 games of the tournament. Of course, more balanced scoring is what I've been big on for Colby in the last few games, because in that loss to Hayes, only 3 guys got on the board, 3 scorers, only 3 people scored points, which is, you just can't win basketball games when only 3 people are putting the ball in the basket. So got to get everyone involved, even though it's a 6-man rotation, all 6 got to score and all 6 got to be efficient with the basketball. And that's what I'm looking for tonight, is just more of the same when they're winning, and, take some anger out after the loss to Hayes and Goodland in the tournament.
They've had a lot of time to, because they had the bye on Tuesday. Right. They've had some time. My guess is you'll probably see a few new wrinkles, would be my guess. Probably see a little bit something like that. Some new stuff thrown in with that extra week of practice for both the women's and the men's team. You'll see some new wrinkles thrown in to kind of get ready, because that was if you think about it, that's kind of the last. There's no more tournaments. It's all regular season the rest of the way, and there's really no more buys, if that's what you want to call it, either. So that's all done. Now it's the final month of the season, and you blink, you get through 3 weeks of February, and you're in the postseason. So it's go time. You got to be ready, and get that done. So, yeah, I would expect you're going to see some a few little new wrinkles, nothing massive changes, but just a few new wrinkles, and like I said, I would expect Colby to go down there and pick up a couple of wins against Ulysses, who, once again, a lot of respect for their coaches and their players, but they play hard. But I think if you don't overlook them, I think you have a chance to go out of there with the win.
I think even more upset, arguably, about their loss was the girls' team. They were not happy with losing, and that's mostly just because they don't lose a lot. So when they do, they're not happy with themselves. So this is an 11-2 first place Colby Lady Eagles versus 1-12 Ulysses. So I'd expect the same thing. I'd expect maybe a little anger taken out tonight after losing to Hayes in the championship in the tournament. So would expect a pretty lopsided score in favor of Colby tonight against Ulysses.
Yep, we'll see what all happens, but that's on tap 4 tonight as Colby High School heads down to Ulysses. What's on Tuesday for them? Not once again, we're broadcasting. Norton. Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, at Norton. And then next Friday will be home versus Holcomb.
Okay.
So, yep, big stretch, obviously, with
big stretch.
Season.
Lots of, yeah. That Friday, a week from today, Holcomb. That'll be big girls game. That's huge.
Holcomb's, and then you go turn around to Goodland.
Yep.
Next Tuesday. So
it's nitty gritty.
It is definitely
nitty gritty.
Definitely.
Lots of stuff going on here. So, okay. All right. We're right at the bottom of the hour. Let's go. I think it's a good time to take a break. When we come back, we will dive into our guest of the day. That would be our good friend and assistant for the Fort Hays State Tiger Men, Rusty Groffel, going to join the program next. His team, guest last date, falling to the number 1 team in the country, Washburn, 74-65 on the road there in the home of the Ichabods in Topeka. We'll come back and visit with him next. You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
Where is the best place to go to stream your favorite NWKS radio station? NWKSradio.net. Where should you go to find out what's happening in the area? NWKSradio.net. What's happening with local area sports? NWKSradio.net. Is the weather causing delays or cancellations? NWKSradio.net. Need tickets to the next big NWKS radio event? NWKSradio.net. The place to go to be in the know. NWKSradio.net. It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Friday, January 31st. And on the overnight last night, March corn lowered 10 1/4 at 480. May down 10 1/4 at 491 1/4. July down 9 at 495 1/4. September down 7 at 459 1/4. December corn down 6 at 458 1/4. March soybeans down 9 1/4 on the overnight at 1034 3/4. May down 9 at 1050 3/4. July down 8 3/4 at 1065 3/4. August down 8 1/2 at 1061 1/2. Chicago wheat, the March contract lower 12 1/4 at 554 1/4. May down 11 1/4 at 567 3/4. July down 11 1/4 at 579 1/4. September soft wheat down 11 3/4 at 592 1/2. Kansas City wheat, the March contract lower 14 3/4 at 573 1/2. May down 14 1/2 at 583 3/4. July down 14 1/4 at 593 1/4. September down 13 3/4 at 605 3/4. On the stock market this morning, the Dow down 122 at 45,171. The S&P down 28 at 6,128. The Nasdaq up 171 at 21,796. Gold higher $4 an ounce at 2,848, and crude oil up 17 cents a barrel at 72.90. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call. John Hanke or John Stiles at 970-744-4484. Or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Saluto, Jared Law, or Teza Ghosh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
Imagine having more days of perfect weather, a combine that's more powerful, or even more soybean bushels per acre at harvest. With Revitec fungicide, you don't have to imagine that last one, because it's proven to deliver up to 9.5 more soybean bushels per acre than the competition. With results like that, it's easy to see why Revitec fungicide is the #1 recommended fungicide by soybean farmers. Visit Revitec.com and talk to your BASF retailer today. Always read and follow label directions.
Our farmers feed us all. For generations, they've done what's best for the land. So why is
Chugging along on a Friday morning, January the 31st, 7:34 Mountain, 8:34 in the Central Time Zone on this Friday. And we're pleased to welcome in our guest today, our good friend, assistant for the Fort Hays State men's basketball team, Rusty Groffel joins us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. Rusty, good morning, my friend. How are we doing today?
Good morning, Ross. Pretty good. We were kind of alluding to before we started this. We're still in Topeka right now. So
okay.
It was a later evening with our game last night, but we have the good old road trips like normal teams this year. So we stay here, and then we head to Warrensburg where we play Central Missouri on Saturday. So we kind of do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a full road trip as far as we came up the day of the game. Normally we stay the day before, but yes, sir. We are rolling through the mid part of the season right now.
Yeah, the relay deal there. By the way, out of curiosity, who sets up all the travel plans and things like that? Is that on one of the assistants? Is it you? Is it Coach Johnson? Who sets all that up, kind of the planning of the trips?
It's usually one of the assistants. It's actually Coach Brown that does this part. We kind of partner up with different parts of what we do with, the meals, the travel, the stuff like that, hotels. Virtually Coach Johnson obviously dictates whether or not we want to do like day trips like we did yesterday, come the day of the game, or, if it would have been a further away one, we would have left on Wednesday, stayed the night, obviously had a practice and stuff like that. So, but for the most part, being at the D2 level for most staffs, it's smaller. So you kind of just, there's two assistants, you relay them together and just kind of manage everything you can as far as it goes. You got a couple managers that kind of do some logistics stuff for you when it comes to meals and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's not too difficult as far as kind of how we run the operation here, as far as getting hotels and gym time and stuff like that. So.
Well, last night, for those who we'll fill you in. Last night, the Tigers took on the number 1 team in Division II, Washburn, and fell 74-65 on the road there at Lee Arena. Washburn, by the way, has not lost this year. They're a perfect 20-0 in their regular season and 11-0 in conference play. The Tigers have now dropped to 13-6 on the season. They've lost 2 in a row and now sit at 6-4 in the conference. What do you think of the this first portion of this slate here for your squad this year, Russ?
Yeah, we are starting the back half of this. The MIAA has kind of switched to some people might disagree with what I'm going to say, but like a North and South, we split kind of divisions with a team leaving, a team joining us to where we only play one side of the conference one time. We're finally through that part of it to where we're still waiting to play some of the teams in the South, quote unquote, but Washburn, we're on this part where we get in the second time. So I personally, after a loss like that, number 1 team in the country, we played pretty well last night. So we gave ourselves a chance. And if you take, every team is obviously striving to get better. You hope you're playing your best basketball from day one, but you're obviously trying to get better each day moving towards March. And if you take our first game when we played them at home, first basically conference game of the season, second, I guess, because we had Central Missouri first, were strides better, from when we played them. So personally, we did a really good job. And obviously some things we still need to work on, but, our defense is a big presence like it always is. And offensively, we've been better, through, 8 to 10 games since we've played them. So not pleased with the loss, but obviously pleased with where we're going. And obviously, as a coach, you look at games and, you want to win them all, obviously. But, every road game is a tough game. Every home game is a tough game. So if you can go on the road, especially, and you can win games, you start separating yourself. So we obviously have to, have a quick trigger and change of pace here and move to Saturday where we can hopefully get a split on this road trip. And so we can kind of keep separating ourselves, positioning ourselves for the MIAA tournament, and obviously building our resume for the NCAA tournament. So hopefully, if we happen to fall in the MIAA tournament, we have enough, in our back pocket to push us through to make it to the NCAA tournament.
Russ DeGroffel once again is our guest, joining us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware hotline. What do you think of the MIAA overall this year as a league?
It's a little new. It's a little up and down, to be honest with you. With some new coaches, coaching changes. Obviously Washburn has taken the full lead on this one. And, there's kind of jumbled up a little bit. I think we're still in second right now with a couple teams, and then they hit the middle part where there's 4, 5, 6 wins with a lot of the teams. It's still a top league in Division II. I think it's dropped a little bit, in just my personal opinion. But every game is so close and so tight still. We still haven't seen a couple teams that we'll see later on here in the season, which we'll only see once until we get to the MIAA tournament. So, it's just like, you can take any conference, but especially ours, if you show up, you have a good chance, if you do what you're supposed to win a game, but you also have a good chance to lose a game. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in 14th place or you're sitting even in first place, to be honest with you. So, still a really tough conference, still a really, wide open conference, for the fact that, somebody could, win the MIAA tournament. I don't think anybody's going to catch Washburn as far as the outright winner of conference, but every game is intense, and especially our style of play, to make every game, exciting. And it always seems like it's a 1, 2, 3 possession game.
No,
Tell me about some.
Sorry, Max. Go ahead. My apologies.
Oh, am I good?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
I'm good. No, sorry. Sorry about that. Tell me about some players that have really stood out to you this year, maybe that have improved from last season, or new guys that have really stood out.
Absolutely. Well, obviously Caleb Hammocky is a rare player, and you could talk about him probably since his freshman year up to the point he's at now. He's probably going to break. He's already broken, 2 or 3 records in school history. He'll probably continue to break a few more. But just we talked about him before earlier in our season, just very rare player that you come across in coaching. Just you enjoy to coach, what he brings to the table every day. And he's virtually a coach on the floor, and an intense guy that doesn't take a play off. So, he's been a blessing for me, blessing for coach, a blessing for our staff, blessing for the fans, to just be able to watch him, play the game, and it correlates and pushes over to everybody else. I would say, with us in kind of Washburn looking into the season, we had a lot of returners just like they do. So, a lot of our returners with RJ's had a couple injuries, but he's still playing pretty well for us. Trajan's playing really well, had a really good second half for us last night. Sean Riley's had a pretty good season up to this point. So some of these guys that obviously have been, transfers, and then you take Trajan, you take Caleb, obviously who've been here for 4, 5, 6 years. So they've completely stabilized the foundation and kind of what we do every day. When you come to new guys and stuff like that, we've had a lot of freshmen that we've been really excited about. Eli Lawson, Aiden McDowell has had, he's a little up and down right now, but he's had some really good games for us, which we expect him to continue through the course of obviously, his career. But those guys are exciting just because you can see future when Caleb, Trajan, some of these guys leave. You're like, okay, well, if they're doing this as a freshman for us, helping us at least win games, and they kind of come into their own. So, couple of names there. We have a good group of guys, I would say, overall, with even our transfers. And probably what's going to help us is, and hopefully it helps us, is one of these, Mo, obviously, maybe a Dan, some of our transfers that statistically aren't doing maybe as well, especially these last few games. They're going to have to kind of push us over the edge, hopefully, as we continue towards March and have some of these guys step up rather than, some of the guys that have consistently been stepping up for us.
How about Kyle Grill last night? 25, quarter of a way to 100. That was a pretty big night offensively for KG.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of the guys I didn't mention, and it's, sometimes you look at the paper and everything like that, and he's been really good, and he's a redshirt sophomore for us. So, he played, last year, obviously on a really good team too. Offensively, he's kind of coming to his own, shooting the ball really well. At his position at 6'5", he plays on the perimeter. He plays as a guard, but he also plays as a forward. So he's able to do a lot of different things, and he's really coming to his own offensively. And he's athletic enough and quick enough on the defensive end that he really helps us out too. So, we expect he's kind of on the top part with Caleb that he's always scouted against and, gearing towards, especially offensively for us, because he's one of the keys. So hopefully he keeps progressing because, he's obviously a guy that can put up a lot of numbers. He can consistently, I think, do that. And he's going to probably have to for us, but really exciting for him, especially because he's been playing good basketball all year.
You bring up an interesting point. You're talking about Kyle Grill being a redshirt sophomore. You don't see that a ton in major college basketball where you get a guy to redshirt and then hang around your program and hopefully he develops into a good player. You just don't see that very much. How much of is that a big part at your level?
It's a really big part, especially at this level. In today's world, which we've talked about a lot with the portal, with NIL and everything that's going on, I would say it's a rarity, and probably moving forward of, guys sticking around and, whether it's money or it's the program, whatever the case is, location, it doesn't happen as often, I would say. So a guy like Caleb Hammocky, a guy like Kyle Grill, a guy like some of our some of our freshmen right now that are, suited up that are redshirting. I think Hayes is a place like that. I think at the D2 level still, there are places like that, that guys are going to go and, they're bought into what's at place for them. It's a high level, rate of basketball that's being played, so I think they start to understand that. They may not understand it right away, but then they see it and they really understand it through the course of a year, 2 years, you push to 3 years. So it's huge for us. When you look at our recruiting, first and foremost, we're going to try to find the best players, whether they're high school guys, whether they're junior college transfers, whether they're portal transfers. So that's going to be what we look at all the time. But really what it's helped, and I think Coach Johnson would say this too, is our high school guys. We're recruiting them young. We're able to implement them into the program. They're able to stay. Fortunate enough for, I guess, if you say fortunate enough for COVID, some of these guys are able to stay for 5-6 years. So anytime you do that and you're mature and you've seen it for that long, you've played it for that long, it's only going to help you in any program in the country. And then if you move forward to pending rules changes, stuff like that, 4 or 5 years for these next guys, I'd say, it's basically the backbone and the foundation of everything we do. And we're fortunate enough that we don't have to worry so much about the portal. I should knock on wood, as far as our guys, worrying about them leaving or being unhappy because they're just bought into what's right in front of them with Fort Hays and what the opportunity is there. And then obviously the program that's, Coach has been doing for 24 years where there's a lot of winning and, there's a lot of good basketball.
Rusty Groffel continues to be our guest here on the morning. A couple more quick ones for you. I wanted to get your thoughts on a coach that I'm sure Coach Johnson knows well. You probably knew a little bit, but Coach Ben McCollum, who went from Northwest Missouri State to Drake and is having a fantastic season. His Bulldogs are 19-2 in the Mo Valley Conference. What are your thoughts on his jump up a level and yet the still type of success that he saw there in the MIAA?
Yeah, and without any bias, Ben's having a great year. He obviously had great years at Northwest, Missouri. So, I think if you're a sports follower, if you're a college basketball follower, I think you can really pinpoint it and look at, he's not really doing a whole lot different than he did last year at Northwest Missouri State and then obviously at Drake. As far as system-wise, obviously the guys he's playing, 4 of his starters started for him at Northwest Missouri State. So that's props to obviously them, to him. It's awesome to see, in my opinion. And to go back to that, what I initially said, it's a level of play. So he was doing that at a D2 level. He's doing it at mid-major, level right now. So hopefully people are realizing there's not that much disparity between some of these players, athletes, from a Division II level to obviously the level he's at now at the Division I level. So really good. I'm excited for them. It's fun to watch. We can use it for us too, as for motivation wise, for where our guys are at in the season and stuff like that, as far as, them playing and stuff like that. So, it's just fun to see, just from a coaching standpoint and watching him and replaying even last year, when we played him. So hopefully they continue to make the run, which I think they will, and even in the one bid league where it becomes really crucial for them down to that conference tournament. But I mean, if you would ask anybody in this conference, you probably didn't expect anything less. I mean, he's a winner, and his programs win, and he gets those guys to do what they're supposed to, wherever they're at.
Telling you right now, I'm already putting him in my maybe even in the Sweet 16 in my bracket when he makes it in. I got that gut feeling.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to do something.
It's a dogfight with them. It's. I always say there's a couple guys. I look back, like a Carson Conrad at Colby. He played at Fort Hays too. But Ben has this way of, and we kind of do the same, at Hays here in a little different way, but style wise. But them especially, if you're playing somebody in ping pong and they're really good, and you're playing one of those guys that or girls that just waits for you to mess up, but they're always so consistent. They're always going to hit the ball over the net. They're always going to take the spin and turn it back. And they're just going to wait for you to mess up, and they're just going to be there in the end. And that's what his teams do. Sometimes it's not very flashy. Sometimes it's like, you don't have the best athletes, quote unquote, on the floor, but they're good enough, and they're just going to watch you unfold. And then obviously at the end of the game, you're like, dang, how did that happen? And sometimes it is a 20-point win, but sometimes it's just a 5-point win. So it's interesting to watch that, and it's the same. It's the same as what he was doing, last year and the years prior, winning national championships at the D2 level.
That's just hilarious. Ping pong. I think that's the first time we've had ping pong mentioned on this show, but I love it. I love ping pong. This is great. I could compete in ping pong.
It's frustrating, but yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Well, Russ, we got to let you go. Are you going to go get a workout in this morning? We got you up early. Got to go get a pump in before you get on the bus. Be my guess.
I decided to devour, you'd love this, a full, pizza to myself last night after, the loss. So I'm definitely going to have to get something in. We got practice here at 10:30 or around 10:30, 10:40 before we hit the road. So I will probably go do that, and then just make sure some guys get up and eat their, morning Cheerios and stuff like that.
There you go. Go run the stairs at the arena or something like that. Got to work off that.
Absolutely.
Don't eat your feelings. Don't eat your feelings even after a loss. It's just not a good thing.
Yeah, I'll drink the coffee, not eat the feelings. We'll be good on that part.
Rusty Groffel, our good friend. Thanks, Russ. Appreciate the time. Have a safe trip over there to Warrensburg and beat those mules, and we'll talk to you down the road, all right?
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Russ.
Once again, great stuff there from Rusty Groffel here on the Morning Blitz. Always good stuff with him. Yeah. He's got an interesting perspective because he saw Ben McCollum and all those guys, even the guys that are winning now for Drake, they were on the floor taking on Fort Hays State in the previous years. And he's got an interesting perspective to see that. So that's really, really cool. All right, we're going to get to our final break. Come back, a little 3 up, 3 down. Always fun to wrap up a week with that. That's next here on the Morning Blitz.
At FNB Bank, we know family comes first. Whether you're
Thank you, sir.
Oh, absolutely.
Life starts here.
The Farmers State Bank of Oakley has been financing agriculture since the day we opened our doors. Hello, this is Corbin, and we are proud to be your locally owned partner in ag. We invite you to come and visit with us when you need to purchase new or used farm equipment, or need any type of agriculture or business loan. We have the knowledge, experience, and financial resources to keep you growing. The Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community and agriculture for over 115 years. Member FDIC.
From the locker room to your morning commute, it's all sports, all the time.
That's what I'm talking about. Sport!
On the Morning Blitz.
Always fun to have Rusty Groffel on a Friday, discuss some old things. Max will get caught up. See, Rusty used to be an assistant. He used to be where Jared Stanford was. He was the head coach at Colby Community College, and he went to be an assistant down at Texas Tech for a while, and then was at Georgia Southern, I think is where that was. Georgia Southern, yeah. And now is back at Fort Hays State as an assistant to Mark Johnson. So, and a good friend of the program. So the joke is, and you'll get caught up on this throughout the summer, but me and Rusty always used to talk. We used to go to the same, what is the fitness place in Colby? Free shout out here. Downtown. Anytime Fitness. Flex Fitness.
That's what I go to.
Yeah, it's the place downtown. But anyway, we all used to meet there. We all used to meet there and pump iron.
There you go.
That's where we used to talk about bench press and all kinds of stuff when I was over in Colby. All right, let's move on here in the Morning Blitz. As always, if you miss any of the show, please check out the podcast. And hey, if you follow us on YouTube or Facebook, like us, follow us, subscribe. We'd love to see those numbers go up and prove that the Morning Blitz is putting those numbers on. All right, let's get to a little bit of 3 up, 3 down here and wrap up our show.
3 questions.
Let me ask you something.
3 answers.
Answer the question.
It's 3 up, 3 down on the Morning Blitz.
All right, Max, I'll get things cooking here with the first question. Name me your favorite Chiefs player of all time, not named Mahomes or Kelsey.
I mean, it's hard not to say Jamal Charles.
Okay.
It's very hard not to say Jamal Charles. I think that's the obvious answer. So I'm going to go Jamal. I mean, there's been some great ones even recently, but Jamal is the only other guy that's at that level.
Okay. I just didn't know if there was an oddball one that you liked.
I could throw out an odd. I mean, I could find an oddball one, but I mean, like that's kind of a low key fit that I've always rooted for. I mean, Frank Clark would be my oddball one. I loved Frank Clark because the energy he brought to the defense. He's close. He's very close. But that would be an oddball one. But Jamal Charles is like the favorite, you could say.
About Mark Boerichter. Anybody remember that name for the Kansas City Chiefs? Mark Boerichter. There was a good one. Old wide receiver. I think he played at Hastings College, I think is where he played before he went on to the Chiefs. What was the name of the punt returner? Hall, the short guy.
Dante Hall.
Dante Hall. There we go. He was good. Always liked Dante Hall.
Dexter McCluster.
Oh, yeah. I've actually visited with Dexter McCluster.
Have you really?
Yep. When I visited, I covered Chiefs training camp for a summer. As an internship deal, and Dexter McCluster was in his rookie season, and I visited with Dexter McCluster.
Dexter's great. He's one of the ones too.
Yeah. Anyway,
we used to say he would have sparks coming out of his cleat when he would be running because he could fly. But as soon as he gets hit, he's going flying somewhere.
Yeah, he's fast. He's fast for sure. All right, 3 up, 3 down. What do you got?
Oh, my first question is, what is, in honor of the Super Bowl, in your opinion, the best Super Bowl halftime show?
A lot of people would say that the best halftime Super Bowl. I didn't see it live. I've only seen it on YouTube, but probably the Michael Jackson one in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Back in I think it was in the late 80s. I think it was early 90s.
Have to be, yeah.
I would say probably that one was probably the best Super Bowl. Any of the acts they have now, I'm not real super interested in. I'm just not. Like this, right. I could care less about. Was it Kendrick Lamar? Is that who is it?
Yeah, I
could care less.
We're not with Kendrick Lamar.
I could care less about the Weeknd. I did like when they were in LA with Snoop.
That was good.
And Eminem and all those guys. I was okay with that, even though I'm not a huge hip hop fan.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah. Not a huge fan.
I get that. Prince also had a legendary one.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
But I'm going to go with Michael Jackson probably.
Okay.
It's the best
Okay.
one. Best one. Second question. Besides sports, what else piques your interest in life? I feel like all we ever talk about is sports.
Well, that's probably true because we do a sports show every day, Ross.
But this is also a music show. What else interests you?
I love music.
More.
Like I'm a big hip hop guy and hip hop and R&B. So like that honestly, I treat that stuff like a sport. Like, so my favorite artist is Drake. Like I'm a huge Drake guy. Everyone that knows me knows I'm a.
Have you ever seen him in concert?
I have. I've seen Drake in Kansas City back like my freshman year of high school, but that's another reason why I'm not messing with him and Kendrick butt heads. But that's the other side of me is like I love music and I love I'm passionate about the music I listen to and stuff like that. So
is it really just hip hop or do you like other genres?
No, I like R&B. Like, you know, I really like I'm not a big country guy, which is weird for, you know, people, for a guy that grew up in Kansas, like that plays baseball. Not a big country guy, just never have been. But you know, I'll peek my head into some old stuff. Like I like Marvin Gaye a lot. Just some stuff like that. Like I like other, like I love Frank Sinatra too.
Oh yeah,
so I have some range, but mostly it's like hip hop and R&B. But I love that stuff. I'm passionate about that stuff. So yeah.
All right, next question on 3 Up, 3 Down.
All right. Back to sports. What fan base in all of sports do you find to be the most annoying?
Texas.
Longhorns?
Longhorns.
Yeah.
Longhorns. I can't stand Texas Longhorns fans. And even my best friend in life is a Texas Longhorn fan, but I can't.
That's how it works, though. It's always the ones you're closest with that'll drive you insane with the sports.
And he's not even as bad as other ones. I just can't stand them. I can't stand Texas fans. Yeah. So I'll Texas Longhorns team. I do not like them at all. They're jerks. And Colorado, sorry folks, but Colorado fans aren't a whole lot better. I have never been given, when I went out there to watch Nebraska, Colorado a couple of years ago, and Nebraska got beat, I have never seen more fingers and bleep yous.
Wow.
I mean, they hate people dressed in red.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. My wife was pregnant and I was just like, and I felt like they took it easy on me because of that, but they were still mean. The things I saw them do to people, I could not believe. I mean, just the things that were said. I mean, wow. And just rude. I could not believe it. I know Jared's going to come off the rails about this because he's a big Colorado Buffalo fan. I get it. But man, Colorado fans are brutally mean, especially the Husker fans. But Texas still takes the cake in my case. So I just think they get everything they want and whatever. All right, we got to keep moving on. Next question here. Final one on 3 Up, 3 Down for me. So I read and also saw that the NBA is looking at possibly shorting up the time of games of quarters from maybe going to 12 down to 10 minutes a quarter to maybe make it so that guys will play a little bit more, so on and so forth. If you could improve a sport or a game, what would it be and how would you do so?
A sport or a game, and what would it be and how would I do so? So anything, any sport.
Yeah, you can do what you want.
Oh my goodness, that's a layered. That is tough. I think the number one thing that I've been a fan of since they've initiated this in the minor leagues, that's because it's inevitable at this point, but it mixes human error with computers, and that is challenging a strike or ball call in baseball. I think a player, a batter and pitcher should have about, you know, a certain amount per inning or per at bat, whatever it is, where they can go like this and they can go and it's quick. It's 1 second. They go to the computer and then they say wrong or right. That's what I think.
Okay. I'd shorten the Major League Baseball season by about 40 games.
Yeah,
okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Favorite moment you've ever called as a broadcaster?
Oh, man. Favorite moment I've ever called as a broadcaster. I mean, probably the back-to-back state titles for the Cowgirls were a lot of fun. I don't know. There was something, you know what? Actually, I think I take that back. It was in the old community building in Colby. It was sub-state semifinals, Goodland boys against Lakin boys. there was something about that. It was just you're sitting on the floor and the fans are all behind you. I mean, the energy was high. Both teams were making shots. I mean, it was just electric. And Goodland was, I think, down by 1, and they heaved the ball down the floor. A guy made a catch. He missed the layup, but another young man by the name of Wentz Hendrich followed him up, grabbed the ball, laid it back in as the buzzer expired, and Goodland went on to the sub-state title game. Really cool. Really, really cool. And the problem is my recorder was not working, so I don't have that. Unfortunately, it's so sad. So sad.
Brutal.
Anyway, brutally bad. All right, there you go. That's 3 up, 3 down here on a Friday. Let's get to walk-off.
And back lifts his ball high, deep to right. How about a walk-off Brady? Thomas to the 10. Difference going on in New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Plenty of college basketball on tap for this weekend. K-State, Iowa State on Saturday. KU goes to Baylor Saturday afternoon. Colorado visits TCU. You got Colby Community College and Garden City there at the Event Center in Colby, and Fortis Tech Northwest on the road at Cloud. Of course, plenty of wrestling and high school basketball tonight, with highlighted by Colby going to Ulysses on 100.3 The Ride. Anything you got for the walk-off, amigo?
No, but it's going to be KU's got to win this one because it's such a KU game to overlook, and looking at Iowa State on Monday or Tuesday or whenever that is. So just you got to win this one, and then you can look at Iowa State.
I would be a little nervous if I was a KU fan, so I will feel your nervousness on that. All right,
Definitely.
that'll do it for us. For Max, I'm Ross. We'll see you back here on a Monday. Thanks for listening. It's been the Morning Blitz.